Well, yeah, it's a little strange as we go into conference play. We've only had one game in which would almost be 2 weeks after having 6 games in a short period of time. But as we talked about all season, it's going to be adjustments. There's going to be differences. It's not going to be the norm. We tried to get the game this week. We just couldn't get a game, and because of that, we got a little rest. It was during finals, and we got some practice time, and that's been good for us. But starting Big Ten play against Northwestern, we'll be right back to the grind. We got 5 games in 14 days, so things heat up quick, including the Christmas Day game against Wisconsin. In Northwestern, it's a talented young group. I mean, they had a pretty good team last year with those freshmen. They were getting better as the year went on. They had one kid leave, and of course their point guard left, but they've got a couple kids back. The Bowie kid who had a lot against us is back. I thought they've done a good job. They've got a couple of transfers, but Nass and Young, Kopp, and Barron are all good players that have got a lot of experience. They've only played 4 games. They've had some interruptions too by maybe the other teams, not necessarily theirs. As I said, Bowie got 26 last year. That's 2 games worth. And Kopp leads the team at 16 per game right now. He can really shoot it at 6'7", and is one of the better, I think, shooters in the whole Big Ten. So they've got enough guys. They've got different guys. They're playing faster. They've got a transfer and a couple young kids in there that make them more athletic. And as we say, they run a lot of stuff. Chris is a good coach, so they had Pitt beat. They were up 18. They were up 5, I think, with a minute left. And then Pitt went down and killed Miami, who beat Purdue. What does it mean? Normal years, it would mean a lot. This year, I don't know, because I don't know who's sick, who's not sick. But I know this. It's a very well-coached team. They're better than they were last year, in my opinion. And it'll be our first conference game, so we're looking forward to it.
First question will go to Jack Edling.
Sergeant, what do you absolutely know about your team that you did not know 4 weeks ago?
Well, I think the chemistry and camaraderie of this team is so much better than I thought it would be at this point in time. And for all the negatives of COVID, that might be one of the positives, because I think we just banded together. I think we've seen, both Rocket Watts and Foster Lawyer have really adjusted to some things and are playing better. I know that Josh Langford's as healthy as he's been in 3 years. And I think even though we don't look like it statistically right now, I think we still could be one of the better defensive teams I've had. Didn't know that at the time. And, been a little disappointed still with our turnovers. I thought we'd take care of the ball a little bit better. So there's a couple of pluses, a couple of minuses. But in general, if I put a cap on the whole thing, I'm trying to be excited about where I think we are and where I think we can go. And I'm keeping that kind of down because I'm not sure what some of the teams have been like that we've played. So I think we've made big progress. I think we're playing better. I think teams are shooting better against us than I thought they would, especially from the 3. And yet we played some very good guards. And so I don't know if that answers your question real well, Jack, but I know this. A month ago, I was not in practice, so since I've been back, it's been more of a joy for me, probably less of a joy for them.
Our next question will go to Chris Solari.
Hey, Tom, good to see you. I guess from a rotation standpoint, with going into Big Ten, you mentioned about the week off and trying to get that game. I mean, it seemed like the last few games you expanded a little with AJ
I don't, Chris. I don't have a target date, and I think some of the players will determine all that. Like I said, there's not a lot of separation, as you know, from certain guys, and we think AJ would have been a guy we would have worked in earlier, but he had the 2.5 weeks out with the knee, and inside, I mean, I've had some meetings with Julius and Marcus and Thomas, and I'm keep hoping that we. One guy steps up a little bit more above the other, but you and I both know you can't play them equally as conference season comes in, but we might have to sacrifice a little early, and I think that's part of the turnover problem. I think that's part of the inconsistency at times, and maybe a lapse here or there because they're not as comfortable with each other yet. Even though the chemistry's good, you got to be comfortable on the court. But I still think in the long run it's going to benefit us, and that's the way I'm looking at it. So I'm going to let the players determine some of it. I'm going to have to do a good job with my staff and trying to separate them. But right now, there's a lot of people that would like to have 11 players that they're playing or 10, and I'm going to try to enjoy that a little bit. And even though it's a headache in some ways, it's nobody's really dropped down too much, and nobody's really stepped up too much as far as those 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th guys, or 8th, 9th, 10th, 11 guys.
Next, we'll go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Thank you. Hey, Tom, at the beginning of your remarks, you talked about that although this is the start of Big Ten play, it still seems so different. I'm just curious, over the last week or so, what principles have you been coming back to that kind of helped you find some normalcy or just kind of help you stay steady with all the uncertainty going on?
Well, you get to watch games on TV. You see that. There's conference games started in different conferences. That's brought a little normalcy to everything. And today we celebrated. I'm going to have to tell our profs at Michigan State it should be illegal to give a final on the last day of the semester. Give them Wednesday and Thursday. But we had two guys that took their last one this morning, and so it's been a strange week in that as I reflect back, it's been a strange week because we'd hope to have a game. You never have a game during finals, but the situation's different. We couldn't have a game. Then you had finals, and so we practiced a few different times, but it wasn't interrupted too bad. We were able to find a couple pockets, and now we're just heading forward. We'll have a good practice here this afternoon, hopefully a good one tomorrow, and then play the game on Sunday.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll go to Kyle Austin.
Hey, Tom, wondering what you made of the Big Ten as a whole from what you've seen and maybe how it's similar or different than the last couple of years.
I guess for the last couple of years, I keep saying it's deeper. But I really think this year it is. I think there's more power. I mean, I get amazed how some conferences, I still think sometimes we don't get the respect we deserve. A team loses a game or something, they drop 10 spots. And other teams, it doesn't happen that way. I still think we've got 4 top 10 teams. I think we've got 5 more top 20 teams. And then I saw where we had a couple teams. I mean, we're 10, 11 deep as far as the top 35, and I'm not sure that's ever been that way. But there's a lot more experienced teams too. You look at an Iowa, you look at a Wisconsin, you even look at Illinois. They're very, very experienced and have 7, 8 of their top 9 or 10 back, and all well coached. So I think teams have tested themselves. Illinois lost a tough game or two, but Iowa's playing awfully well. I think they play Gonzaga this weekend. Wisconsin lost a tough game at Marquette at the buzzer, and other than that, they've been playing real well. And so we'll see. I think the sleeper team in this group right now might be Rutgers. I always thought they'd be good, but when they lost Remy or whatever, I can't pronounce his name right now, but when they lost the kid to Oregon, that was a big loss. And boy, they've just Harper's been unbelievable, and Geo Baker just starting to play. I think they're maybe as good a team. I'm not sure they're not a top 10 team. So Lee's going to be very good.
Next question will come from Matt Charbonneau.
We're talking a lot about the center position and figuring that rotation out. Are you happy right now with some of your wings are, like with Josh and Gabe and those guys? Are you happy with that rotation right now? And 5 games in, is Josh kind of right about where you expected? Can you see him even taking a bigger leap now that he's kind of, got these 5 games in?
Yeah. I think Josh is going to take a much bigger leap. I really do. I'm pretty happy with the rotation. Foster has played pretty well. We got to get AJ in there a little bit because he can play a lot of different positions. But we're not going to manage Josh's minutes, but we're going to make sure that we get some consistency now. Aaron shouldn't play 12-minute stretches. That'll be the next part of this that we have to do. Josh misses a game, you change some things up. But I'd like to get now where there's some consistency as far as how we're rotating. And I think that will happen. And when it does, I think we'll be a better team. But I also think in Josh's case and in Joey Hauser, they're going to get better. There's no question. Josh has probably had the best week of practice. He looks more athletic to me. Joey's starting to shoot the ball real well again, and I think those two guys will determine a lot. Rockets, he's really playing well. I mean, he's really distributing the ball well, and I just love how he's been. And just in watching film, school's done. That's a load for some of these guys, and so I think we're going to get better. But I think on the perimeter, the rotation's pretty good. It's now just getting it down to where they're not playing 10-minute stretches. We haven't had much foul trouble. That's been good other than Joey. And hopefully that'll continue.
Our next question will go to Brendan Quinn.
Keep it going on the rotation. With Julius, it did seem like coming out of Duke, coming out of Detroit University, that he was kind of on a trajectory of maybe broadening his role. Last couple games was actually dialed back. I just kind of wondering where he's at in terms of maybe taking on a larger spot in the 5 at the 5.
Well, as we always do, we're trying to give Marcus and Thomas, experienced guys some. But I told Julius in the last game, I walked down to the bench with 7 minutes left, and I was going to put him back in, and I said, listen, it's okay with you. I'm going to try to get Marty some minutes because we need to do that. And I actually apologized to him because he had been the one guy that started to separate himself. But Julius is a rock. I mean, he's a very intelligent kid. He probably is one of my most improved players if you look at his shooting, his ball handling, his defense. And I think he's going to be very valuable. So it wasn't any other reason than the coach was looking at, what I could do, and I knew he would understand. I knew he was in a good place. But yeah, Julius Minutes is one guy that I think is going to start going up a lot, and deservingly so, because he has taken some steps. And the only reason I didn't, especially in the last game, was trying to get maybe some minutes for Marty, because I think Marty we're going to need, and yet harder to do that as Big Ten play starts, at least at the beginning.
And when you look at the 5 in terms of if you do want to make it more defined in terms of individuals, do you prefer production in terms of things we see on stat sheets, points, rebounds, whatever, or consistency of being in the right place, being in position, kind of doing more grinding stuff, because you do have so much production at other places from Aaron?
Yeah, and that's one of the things with Aaron and Josh and Rock and Joey. That's where Thomas Kithier has been so valuable, because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't need the ball all the time. He sets great screens. But I think Julius can do some of that too. The X factor right now is, we need to get Marcus going. And as I said, between not gaining the weight in the summer, there's been some issues. But at the same time, I still think he can really help us. And we've played a lot of smaller teams, as you know. I mean, even Duke was probably as small as they've been. And that's not conducive for the number of bigs either. So I think there were times we played Malik more as a 4 or 5, and I think we'll be able to get into a little better rotation as, like Northwestern, for example, has got a lot of big guys, and I think that'll be better for some of my bigs.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.
The next question will go to Audrey Dahlgren.
Tom, I like your vest.
Thanks.
Sharp.
Thanks.
With the Northwestern, they're not going to shoot, or maybe not, might not make 14 threes every single night, but you mentioned the troubles that you guys have had this year kind of defending the three. So how do you view this game, I guess, when it comes to them and what they're able to do in that aspect?
Well, we're worried about Bowie last year because he really 26 points and he had a lot of threes. But the Barron kid and Nance can shoot threes at 6'10", and they've got a couple other guys that are shooting the ball very well right now. And they haven't played the toughest of competition, so you don't know if some is that. But the one thing about three-point shooting, as you mentioned, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You still got to make the shot. And to make 14 in a game, we had Oakland make 18. Those are concerns for us. We thought the Oakland game, a lot of them were more contested than maybe the game against Notre Dame or something like that. We've run into 3 or 4 really good guards that can get shots up. And probably should have made some adjustments, maybe with how we cover some of those ball screens. It's not always fair to the guard. But I think we've had some time, Audrey, to work on that this week. I think you'll see us do a better job. But this team at times can put 5 guys on the floor that can make threes. And that's going to be important that we do a better job.
And then one quick question about Aaron Henry and if the conversations or what you know about his Uncle Herb and how you feel as though maybe him playing wheelchair basketball with him, or how does that relationship work, and just what do you think that Aaron has learned as a player from his Uncle Herb and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, like how fast things can be taken away, too, because Herb went through some tough things. But him and Aaron have been very close, and he's a guy that, man, I remember when he was in high school even, he came up from Louisville at the time for games, and, I think they have a very close and good relationship, and he loves the game. It's just a shame that he's in a wheelchair. But I think you can still learn from him, and I still think they're very close, and it's not something I talk to Aaron about all the time, but I know that his uncle is very important in his life, and I think he's very important in the basketball part of his life. And so what can Aaron learn? Whenever I see somebody who's gone through some tough times, I always say, appreciate how lucky you are and do everything you can do to make sure you take care of yourself in the best way you can take care of yourself. That's a lesson in itself.
Thank you.
All right, we have time for 2 final questions before Coach has to get to practice. We'll start with Jack Ebling and wrap up with Larry Light. Jack?
As much as you love football, are you going to be more interested in Ohio State Northwestern, Big Ten championship game, or Gonzaga Iowa tomorrow noon? And Brian Kelly just said he thinks that Notre Dame might boycott the college football playoff if they have to go to Pasadena and parents can't be there. Could you ever imagine something like that in the NCAA tournament?
No, I can't, but I don't know why Brian would say something like that. I don't know what he said in what context and how it was taken, but it's not like Michigan State or our city, our basketball program, or Notre Dame or theirs. We're in some tough times, I was on a big call yesterday, what do you do at Christmas, We know some of these football programs have had parents up at Thanksgiving and that created some problems. This is no fun for anybody. I would look at it like this, me personally, and again, I haven't talked to Brian, and I don't know in the context, because I don't trust you guys all the time, no insult intended. But I would always rather play. I don't think I can hold a school hostage, a program hostage, a team hostage. I think the best thing for my guys is to get to play. And I don't think we're in a position, any of us, to say we won't play if the parents can't come. I'd love to have the parents here. I am a little, seems a little crazy to me at times when you have a 80,000 seat arena, but those are rules far beyond me, far beyond our school and our program. And God, I hope they get to go to the Rose Bowl. I hope my second semester, my parents get to be here, but that doesn't register to me real well because it's not like somebody's doing it on purpose. Everything that's trying to be done is in the best safety and interest of the players first, families second, hopefully our damn country. And that's the way I look at it. But I really, again, hard to comment, Jack, on something that I haven't seen or I haven't talked to them, because I think sometimes we have a tendency in the media, I know you guys wouldn't do this, but where you take one little part, and so I wouldn't boycott the NCAA tournament if the parents could be there. I'd do everything in my power to try to hope and pray and work so the parents could be there. But I don't know. You caught me off guard.
Our last question will go out to Larry Lage.
I'll try to give you a layup, Tom.
Okay?
Have you had any kind of like simulated games or, extra
Yeah.
long scrimmages to make up for the lack of games lately?
No, and that could hurt us. But two reasons. We had to give them a couple days off because of finals, and then we decided that let's work on some of the things that we think we haven't been as good at. Some things in ball screen defense, some with our zone offense, some things with our regular offense. And then we picked apart, what do we think we're not doing well? Like one thing, we're rebounding pretty well stat-wise, but we're not getting any rebounds on the rim. They're all on the floor. Hell, you can get them on the floor. I need guys jumping over you, getting them on the rim. So we looked at some things. We've had each assistant. We marked down some things. What do we got to get better at? And we've tried to still make the practices lively and a little bit fun. It's a grind, You got the pandemic and you got finals. None of us have been through both. And all of us probably have been through finals. I think looking at this illustrious group, I think all of you went through finals at one time or another. And because of that, that's working itself. And then when you throw in the pandemic, so we're just trying to always keep our players right now in the right frame of mind, which I think we are. Today will be a little more grinding. We're going to get after it, get up and down a little more because we're done. Tomorrow you can't do that day before a game. So I do worry about that a little bit. It's a good question because, we thought about bringing officials in and trying to do something. That's a little harder now than it used to be. You almost got to project out of 4 or 5 days. We thought we might be playing a game Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So it's just another confusing part of this for those guys. Hopefully it doesn't hurt us on Sunday, but we think we did what we think was best for our team, and that's what we're trying to do.
And don't sleep on my hops.
On who?
Don't sleep on my hops. I'm rebounding.
Larry, I seen your hops. I'm not only sleeping, I'm snoring while I'm sleeping, and I don't snore. So, but I'll try to remember that, and I'm sure I'll talk to you guys again now because we'll have a couple different. But stay safe, and thanks for the interest. Hopefully, we'll try to get together soon. If somehow maybe we'll have something through the windows or something, so at least you can come. But we'll try to keep doing something. I hope the players has been good, and I said we're always open for some suggestions, especially now school's out. If that we can make it more access to make it better for you, that'll be my Christmas present to you. Take care.